Hi, I'm Brent Eastman. This is my research project on the social consequences of the Industrial Revolution. As you can see, I have for my slide here a couple images of things relating to the Industrial Revolution in America. First, you see one of the great themes that America expanded westward. You see the train moving west out of cities of industry and toward the open plain. And in figure 2 here, you can see an image of the mechanization of labor that helped with farming. This little invention here is kind of representative of some new things that came around at that time. I have my work cited for both the images, and that's that. So, okay. The main theme of my report is that the Industrial Revolution brought great growth and opportunity to society. It largely focused on expansion westward. It grew the economy tremendously. Technology advanced. There were more viable wages for workers. It increased the standard of living all across America as westward expansion spread. People began migrating from country to the cities and industry. This was particularly important after the Civil War. Many people from the South moved north into cities of industry because they wanted to find more work. The South was still largely agricultural, but there wasn't as much of an economy there for people who didn't have work. The U.S. trailed Great Britain for years, but when it got over in Britain, and actually it didn't get over, but as it took off in America, which was after Britain, America came out above and beyond. It really grew by greater means in America than it did in Great Britain. The factory system was a very important thing that came about in the Industrial Revolution. Parts could now be made to standard sizes in factories. Human labor was more centralized. People were making things in factories and around cities. There was bigger concentration and more output. Mechanization came into the works with the dawn of new technology, which made the Industrial Revolution also be very economically viable. Human labor and machines would always be needed to bring about full employment, so it was never a question of not having enough human labor so that the machines would replace, but the human labor was needed in part with the machines to grow as they both grew. Rational decision making was still very important in these times, and that's why human labor was necessary still, even to run the machines. During the expansion westward, America's natural resources were abundant. Mining of these resources was a major endeavor in the move westward of many people in settling the West. People moved west with the chances of new hopes for starting families as families grew with the expanding economy. In the cities of industry, which were primarily in the north and in the east coast of America, that's where most of the people from the South had migrated after the Civil War. Because the South was still largely agricultural, but people from the South also went west when they had these new opportunities as well. The emerging use of credit to finance business ventures was becoming more popular. Economic expansion and growth westward was the main purpose of these credit endeavors, as people needed startup money to go and build factories out west and also mine natural resources which were in abundance. The dawn of the Standard Oil Company of John D. Rockefeller was a great shaper of the industry. The development of trusts, which created all kinds of ways to manage corporations and properties and production, was introduced through vertical integration also by Rockefeller. He was one of the primary starters of that. Finally, much of the benefit was to the worker in these times of the Industrial Revolution and even until today. Over time, the wages, as was already said, became more viable for the worker. And these were the common workers, not just the managers and the owners. The owners and managers did not flourish as much in proportion as to the workers who worked for them. Much of these benefits have been continued until today, meaning a standard wage of living that was viable, and in the same way that maybe construction is today. People can make very good livings doing construction. It's just a matter of doing more labor rather than reading or writing, for example. Still a very viable way to work, and this was a large benefit of the Industrial Revolution. That's it. I appreciate you watching my presentation, and thank you very much.